Steady now.
Anarchy Rush Hour proves a promising prospect on paper. A combination of explosive driving in the same vein as Burnout and street racing, mixing traditional circuit, midnight club style checkpoint races, and more gimmicky events. The idea could have worked well, even accounting for its digital-only release and smaller budget. Unfortunately for Gaijin Entertainment, this racer stumbles on the basics and ends up being a chore to play, with issues around handling, physics, and AI making the simple act of driving your car an ordeal. And with the core of your game, frankly, a complete mess, the other elements can only aid it so much, though unfortunately for Anarchy, everything around the gameplay is also terrible.
I understand now. I can feel the adrenaline boiling in my veins. Probably because of the gun being held to my head.
A very bare story ties the racing together, with only 2 cutscenes bookending the entire game and a slew of straightforward text messages serving up any prose. Max is a racer who gets a call from his estranged girlfriend, prompting a reunion.
What the?
Sadly, this is cut short when she is kidnapped, and consequently, Max begins racing for a trio of crews to attempt to pry information about Gaika's location. A simple setup is somehow made insanely complicated in the second cutscene, with a series of baffling reveals that even a daytime soap would turn its nose up at.
Around 2:30 p.m., the armed robbers broke into a high-tech laboratory in the suburbs and stole a prototype of a revolutionary rocket engine.
Coupled with poor voice acting and dialogue that doesn't even match up with the subtitles, and despite accounting for barely 10 minutes of the experience, the story is atrocious. Sadly, things get even more dire once you enter your first vehicle. Rush Hour's engine feels completely off, with skittish handling which often makes cornering hazardous. Brakes, which come with a horrid screeching sound, seem to be covered in grease as they take seconds to respond, forcing you to brake way before a corner for it to actually aid stopping. The physics are a complete joke, with a slight bump causing your featherweight vehicle to begin spinning in air. And God forbid you use nitrous, because going at a higher speed seems to amplify all these issues and makes crashing almost inevitable. It's honestly some of the worst driving mechanics out there, with games like Burnout 3 from a generation before easily outclassing it. Although there are 40 different vehicles to use, with supposed stats influencing speed and weight, these issues affect you no matter what you use. You'd think this would make winning any race very difficult, even with the ability to reset to the track. Luckily, however, the game's artificial intelligence is some of the worst you would see both in and outside of the racing genre. The other drivers are clearly suffering all the above ailments, as they have a tendency to spin out, smash into walls, and drive speedily outside the course. They fail to offer any competition, as even on the hardest setting, they still suffer these issues. This idiocy spreads to both traffic and police AI, the former eagerly driving into you, and the latter getting stuck on objects. The police presence, in fact, is pointless, as they cannot bust you or cause you to fail a race. Some may find comedic value in this awfulness, but it also makes the racing even worse. These problems make the story mode pretty easy, if not fun in the slightest. Standard circuit, freeform checkpoint racing, stunt events, and anarchy challenges offered a varied spread of event types, yet all suffer from the aforementioned flaws. Not even power-ups, labelled adrenaline devices, can spruce up the races, even if it lets you ram into other cars and send traffic flying with a blast. You can clear the main story in a couple of sittings, so quickly in fact that you'll likely have only raised the money to buy a quarter of the cars, but most will tap out before that grind. You can set up a quick race as well, including in split-screen multiplayer and online modes. The latter did offer a smooth connection at least, but most sane people will challenge you to any other racing game on the console. Things go from bad to worse with the presentation, with Anarchy perhaps being one of the ugliest PS3 games out there. The geometry is more basic than a PlayStation 2 game, vehicles look dodgy and poorly rendered, the world is rife with pop-in and woeful detail, and performance is wildly inconsistent. Some tracks, namely those without traffic, can run up to 60 frames per second, though still suffer sharp drops. City tracks with traffic and weather effects cause the frame rate to tank, making for a sluggish experience. It's visually abysmal. The only bright spot is explosive crashes, with a slow motion crash being satisfying to watch initially. Unfortunately, seeing it 100 times over grows old. The sound fares equally bad, with ear-piercing sound effects such as tyre screeching gifting migraines, sloppy voice work, and generic music which constantly gets cut off as, for some reason, crashing changes the music. A real assault on both the eyes and the ears. There are many things to be said about Anarchy Rush Hour. While its cheaper, digital-only price point could wave away some problems, the simple fact of the matter is that this is one of the worst racing games available, and paying any quantity of money is tantamount to burning your cash. Horrendous to control, afflicted with terrible AI, and boasting some of the worst visuals the console would see, just about everything that can go wrong with a game did so here. While there's some destructive moments to be had here, and the awfulness can elicit some hearty laughs, it's nowhere near enough to recommend this. Avoid like a tyre puncture.
Bad idea. Cops are the last thing I need right now.